want to start us out on at this annual meeting, though, to speak to the importance of what we're doing together. If you allow me to do it in this way, I'd like you to come with me a long way away from Chestertown for just a brief moment. Because I have dear friends who are important activists in the arts community and human rights community in Korea that have been inviting me over the years to be a part of various delegations, human rights, cultural activities, etc. On one occasion, they invited me to be in Korea when the first openings between North and South Korea in exchange of prisoners and family visitations happened. So I was very privileged to be a U.S. American there to witness families being reunited after over 50 years of separation due to the division of the Korean Peninsula. Millions of families were separated in that way. So I want to draw your attention to one story from that. I was present and saw a number of families being reunited, and of course their incredible joy at seeing one another. The way the division of Korea happened, it happened almost in a day. The separation happened quickly, and so parents went off to work and never came home for 50 years. I mean, it was harsh and ripping for a culture and a society. I'm bringing to you tonight, though, one story, which is a story of a father whose daughter, 6 or 8 years old, had been on him constantly about a pair of red shoes she said seen in the window of a store. She just wouldn't leave it alone. She wanted those shoes so much, and her father kept telling her, "We're in a war. Resources are scarce. We don't have money for red shoes. And you need to wear the ones that you have and be lucky. Know you're lucky to have them." And so finally the little girl wore her father down. And one morning at breakfast, he said to her, "Okay, I'm going to get the shoes." And he went off to work and didn't come home for 50 years. So he arrived at this meeting, which I witnessed. With something like these. I'm not sure they looked quite like these red shoes, but he showed up and simply presented them to his daughter. And of course, you know, there are tears and joy. And I'm bringing this story to us in Chestertown today, though, because this is not only a kind of a heartbreakingly beautiful family reunification, and a father who remembered how the little things can be very important. But it also is an example of a man, a humble man, who, in spite of what the world had done to him and his family, unimaginable things, war, separation, division, isolation from those most beloved to you, managed, in my view, he was managing to hold on to his dignity and his humanity. I'm bringing this here to us today because this story for me is about the challenge when times are uncertain and things out of our control swirl around us and we don't always really know how to respond. The challenge for us in our time and place of remembering our humanity, holding on to our dignity. And I want to invite you this evening as we look at this little program of ours in Chestertown to remember that what we're working at in times like these is really kind of important. We're working to preserve a place for joy, for something positive, for connection, community, creativity, as we say in our vision statement about RiverArts. And preserving those things now is even of greater importance than it might have been at last year's annual meeting. So I invite you to think of RiverArts as an instrument in which that's what we're doing. And if you think it's a small thing, well, just think about that father and how long he waited to express his love and his humanity to his daughter. Thank you. We're going to move now into some of the more mundane things, but joyous parts of what makes RiverArts important. It is Monday.
There's no easy way to follow that because it is true. What we're creating here is personal and unique to all of us, and everybody's going to bring their own meaning to it. But the important thing is that we're holding a space so that we can create together. And tonight is about celebrating that and understanding that. So I am Jill Royston. I am new to the RiverArts board, and it's been a really exciting year of firsts for RiverArts and for me. So what I'm here to do is share just a couple overarching highlights of things that we are celebrating across the organization. And then I'm going to ask each of the programs to come up and highlight for us what we're celebrating within each of the programs. So that's the way it's going to run for the next section of time between now and our break. So across RiverArts, one of the things that we are celebrating and really proud of is the hiring and the retention of our new staff leadership. So a lot of what we're celebrating tonight would not be possible without them, and we're really grateful for that. I arrived after the complicated move, but I'm sure many of you remember that this time last year there was a very complicated physical move going on. That is complete, and a lot of work went into that, and a lot of volunteer time, and that's something that we should all really be proud of and celebrate. Another piece for us is achieving our fiscal goals and putting in new ways of working so that we can sustain that fiscally sound approach that we have. So across the organization, we're really excited about the future and where we're headed and what we're doing fiscally, and that not only in the community can we be a great arts organization, but that we are fiscally responsible and showing up the way that we want to. We have sustained existing programs in the midst of all these other changes, and we've also pioneered some new ones, and you're going to hear a lot more about that as we go. And then the last thing that I wanted to highlight across the organization is that the board of directors initiated the beginning of an ongoing dialogue with the 5 program areas over the summer. And that conversation was about what are we proud of? What are some of the roadblocks that we're working to overcome? And then what are our aspirations for the future? And so tonight you'll see the continuation of that conversation that we began over the summer, but we're celebrating that as an organization. It's a different way to talk about where we're headed and what we're doing and what we're doing together. So with that, we're now going to hear from each of the programs, starting with KidSpot. Dan?
My name is Ann Highfield Clark. My name tag says Miss Ann, but you do not need to call me Miss Ann. This is strictly for the children. But I am the coordinator of the KidSpot program, and I just wanted to share some of the work that we've done this past year. I'm so thankful for Chris and Chris because they've been so supportive of the KidSpot program, and I'm so happy to see that it's on the radar, and I think it's really making a difference in our community. And KidSpot really is our way to nurture the next generation of RiverArts members. And if we're not bringing along the next generation, then we're not doing as much as we can to help our community thrive through the arts. I encourage you to, I packed the slides with photos because I really want to encourage you to look at the faces and study the children and just try to get a sense of their emotion, their pride, and how they feel when they're creating art. Probably all of you know the core part of our program, and it's been part of the core since our inception 11 years ago, is our Saturday morning 9 to noon drop-in time for families. You can see some of our statistics. Our mission is to get families in and provide a space where they can play, they can create, they can explore, because we know that builds self-confidence, the ability to express yourself, joy, all of those things that are essential to a productive citizenship. And a parent a few weeks ago, they arrived late and they were, it was almost time for us to close, and the mom said, oh, we could barely get out the door, but we knew we had to come to our planned wellness. And that's how they see Saturday morning, their planned wellness activity. Just last week, we got a very touching letter from another family who's had some trauma in their life this past year. And they're regulars to Kids Spot faithfully every Saturday. And the mom expressed to us that we should never doubt our impact on this community. And she saw the experience of coming to Kids Spot as art therapy for her family, not only her child, but for her as well. And so it's true, we can never underestimate what we're doing. It may look silly and it may look messy, but it's a really, really important part of this program, and I'm so proud of it, and I'm just so happy to celebrate our accomplishments. Next slide. The next step that maybe others don't know about is we have a pretty solid partnership with all 3 public elementary schools in Kent County. And all of those schools are Title I schools, which means they have a significant level of students living in poverty, students who may not be able to do art experiences in their home. So we know it's really important for us to get into those schools. Since the beginning of the year, we've made 35 classroom visits since January to the Judy Center program. Now, the Judy Center is an early childhood education program that all of these Title I schools have. And it's really a resource for families to help connect them to agencies and organizations in the community so that they can help their kids be ready for school when it's time for them to enroll in kindergarten. Not every child gets read to. Not every child gets to do watercolors at the kitchen table. So this Judy Center is a way for parents to bring their kids in before they're school age and really work on those skills so that they are ready when they enter kindergarten. So we've made quite a few visits. These are just some of the delightful pictures of kids that we're able to touch. I always think about this one story. I had this one pre-K child this year, and I was in her classroom doing an art lesson, and it was time for me to go, and it was time for them to go to music class. And this one girl was sobbing and crying, and I said, why are you crying? And she said, because I'm not done with my art project. And I said, oh, it's okay, you can take it home and finish it. And she said, but we don't have paper at my house. And something as small as that was huge to this child. So when she went to music, I found her backpack. The aide in the classroom helped me find her backpack, and we crammed it with scissors, glue. Probably shouldn't have done the scissors, but paper, everything we could, so that she could go home and finish this art project. There's such an appetite for these kinds of creative experiences with all children, not just the ones living in poverty. So we're really happy that we're going to be moving forward with that again this year. You may have heard that Garnett Elementary School just opened a classroom for 3-year-olds. So they have pre-K for 4-year-olds and they have pre-K for 3-year-olds now, and there's no room in the school, so they set up a classroom at the Presbyterian Church. So we decided that KidSpot, rather than going to the 4-year-old program, this year we're going to go to the 3-year-old program because they won't have access to the art teacher. So we're going to be providing art experiences for them. And I should note that the Judy Centers pay RiverArts for me to go there. So this is not something that's coming out of RiverArts' pocket at all. They have grant money that they can pay us. So it's really, really good. And that experience brings more kids in here on Saturday mornings. I should mention too that we did seek and receive a grant from the Kent Cultural Alliance this year because we were noticing so many kids don't have art supplies at home. After we leave the school, after we do our art lesson and leave the school, we send the kids home with a bag so they can repeat the same art project that night at home, and all the materials they need are in that bag. So that's been really, that's a joy for the kids to like walk home and clutch their bag, and we're really excited about that. We've also had some organizations come here to KidSpot, rent out the space, and I provide a little field trip experience for them as well. So we hope to do more of those this year. Next slide is our summer camp. We had 7 summer camps this summer. We had quite a few scholarships too. I'm very happy about the percentage of kids we were able to bring in free for a summer art camp. Many members of RiverArts reached out to me and asked to sponsor a student, which has been wonderful. And then my relationship with the schools has allowed me to identify those kids that would not otherwise be able to afford a summer camp experience. So we're very excited. It's a pretty rigorous lift to do a summer camp. We decided early on that we wanted to be certified by the Maryland State Health Department, which requires a lot of documentation, a very extensive application. And then it also entails surprise visits, inspections. So it really, I want to thank Chris and Chris, because that's not something I could have ever done alone. First of all, we have to always have 2 CPR certified staff members present as soon as the first child arrives every day. And really all 3 of us had to be here pretty much every day, all day during that time. So we're really looking forward to expanding that program last year, getting word out about the program a little earlier. Summer camp's very competitive in Kent County. There are many camps, and there's always this jockeying to get your camp out early so parents can sign up early. So my goal is to do a better job of getting that out earlier next year. And then our last slide is looking ahead. So with money that came in to help expand KidSpot, we're looking at some classes that occur outside of that KidSpot Saturday time. We're in the very early stages of implementing those classes. We have already held 3 or 4, I have to cheat and look. 3, we've already held 3. We're having another one this Saturday afternoon. Anything from decoupage, pumpkins, we're going to have a wood burning class, we're having a mask making class this Saturday. We're trying a lot of different formats, we're trying a lot of different price points. Some are free. We found sponsors to sponsor some so that we can offer them free to the families. We just want to see what sticks. We don't know, this is new for us, so we're trying different days, different times, different price points. 2-week classes, 1-week class, and that way we'll be able to gather some data to know what works. But so far they've all been really well received. Our most popular class was a piñata class. This is this is Yvette Martinez Ayala. She was our teacher for that. Most popular teacher, I'm even counting myself in there, way more popular than me. She brought in lots of families. We even have a waiting list for that class. So we're really excited to be able to offer that class again. So we know that's one of the things that sticks. So if anybody has any expertise or desire to teach a class, I'd be happy to talk to you. Or if you know somebody, I'm in the very beginning stages of just trying to find people in the community that would like to teach a class. But I just want to say how excited I am and thankful to be a part of RiverArts. I know what we're doing is the right thing, and I think we're really making a difference in the lives of families in Kent County. Thank you. How was your pinata? Oh, I totally forgot! I knew I was gonna mess up something. Oh my gosh. I knew I shouldn't have gone first. I want to introduce Jasmine's son. Jasmine is like our top volunteer. This girl is in Kid Spot. She was not here this past Saturday, and all the kids said, "Where's Miss Jasmine?"
Not allowed to go on vacation ever.
Jasmine, you found out about Kid Spot just by walking by one day.
Yeah, back when it was in the alley when I first moved to Chestertown. I work at Sultana, by the way. I live right next door. And like I would walk to the alley to get to the farmer's market, and every Saturday there'd be kids in there. Because I teach all the kids in the county, they're like, oh my gosh, it's Miss Jasmine. And then I just go in and hang out, and then like it just turned into be like every Saturday hanging out with the kids. So like all of the children in the pictures, I taught them also. So I'm like, I'm leaving them.
And this pinata symbolizes us. Our pinata teacher, Missy Vet, made this for us, and we decided that we don't want to have kids hit that with a stick. Yeah. In hindsight, I should have never asked for that, but it'll be a fine decoration for us.
Thank you.
So, as everybody is painfully or happily aware, moving from the breezeway up here changed our gallery space significantly. No longer is it a dedicated gallery space. Now we share it with the delightful and wonderful Kids Spot, which I think is good because the kids can come in and see art on the wall. And people are reminded of the joy of children and the joy of creating. So there is a symbiotic relationship here. As difficult as it is sometimes. So the exhibit committee, everybody's familiar with the exhibit committee. This is the committee that traditionally has set the exhibits for the year. We are expanding the idea of the exhibit and making it a gallery committee to bring in Paint the Town and Studio Tour because gallery space is used for both of those, and it made sense to bring that in as part of a bigger gallery committee. Since we have been here, it's been a wonderful evolution of this space. When we first came in, we were very worried about how to display art, how this was going to work, who would show up and bring their art in, who would come and support it. Well, I would like to say that it's been a very successful year. Each month things have gotten better, the shows have gotten more entries, and the space is really, it works very, very well. We have had, in 2025 so far, we've had 8 shows. This is the last show. The next one will be the holiday gift shop, the holiday show, which will be at the store and up here. So you'll have 2 places to shop for your holidays. We have had 175 artists submit pieces to the exhibits. And we have on First Fridays had over 1,000 guests. So it has been a success. Let's see, what else do we have? We have actually, this year we have brought in over $9,000 in registration fees. And registration fees are for artists entering their pieces. Now, the registration fees do include the studio tour this year, but not Paint the Town, because that happened before we started to make this larger gallery committee. And we have this year we've all done almost $9,000 net in sales, art sales in this space. And that's net, that's what's coming to us. After commissions, after taxes, everything. And I think it's a lovely space. It works well for us now. You know, we all want something better and bigger, but I think we have a wonderful space right now. And please keep supporting us, submitting pieces, come and visit us. We have good exhibits. We have 2 good exhibits starting next year. The first one will be a member show, Anything Goes, in January. And then in February, we're doing something a little different. We're going to challenge our artists to work with AI. So look for the challenge to come out in a few weeks. And we hope a lot of people will, take up the challenge.
Oh, will we have robotic volunteers?
You know? We can try.
We'll consult Amazon.
Okay. Oh, and I should say that the exhibit committee is over here. It's Jamie Krebs, Inez Santori, and Barbara Slocum. And Carolyn Barlow is not here this evening. She couldn't make it, but that is the exhibit committee.
Thank you.
And not the gallery committee.
Tour have now been moved to the exhibitions or gallery committee. And just real briefly, the first thing is Paint the Town. And I find this to be a really incredible event that we do. It's a way to bring people from all over the East Coast, basically, into Chestertown. It brings in tourism, dollars, and we all know how important that is. It's really good for our volunteers. Our volunteers get to associate with all these artists. We provide housing for them. We provide food for them. I've had a couple artists stay at my house over the years. 2 years ago, Paint the Town, my artist sat in my front yard and painted this for me. And this past year, she and her mentor came and stayed at my house, and her mentor painted me a picture from my front yard. So it's a really neat experience. It's also a really good fundraiser. These were the folks that put on the Paint the Town program this year. We had a big list of, you guys can't see over there. Beryl Kemp was the chair, Donna Van Dusen was the co-chair, and then we had all sorts of people volunteering to help out with that. So go ahead. The next thing is the studio tour, and over there by Jill is my prop for the studio tour. That's been posted in here. That's the map of where this year's studio tour is. Last year's studio tour is what we have the information on, that was chaired by Cindy Fulton, who also was really instrumental this year's too. And the studio tour is a really unusual thing. It's an opportunity for people in the community to go into the artists' studios and homes and see them in their natural habitat. I know I've spent a couple times over at Marcy Sherman's place in the middle of nowhere, but she has this really great play studio over there, and we've sat around and chit-chatted about her work and looked at things, and it's just a really nice, unique opportunity for people to get to see the artists where they work. It's also a chance for the artists to display more of their work than they can do here or in the store, and they also can sell their work at that point without us taking a piece of the action, which we like to do, but this gives them a chance to sell all their art with no commissions. So I'm going to move along and let you, do we have this year's? Okay, and this is the studio tour committee for this year. And we are right in the middle of it now, so if you haven't been out yet, grab a map and get out and visit some of our artists, because they would love to see you. And we're this week, coming weekend, and then also some of the artists are gonna be open next weekend during Down Ready, so. So let's see. I'll tell you that 25 pounds of clay weighs 25 pounds. And I'll explain to you what that is in a minute. I'm Marcy Sherman, I'm one of the potters at the Clay Studio. I'm also on the board, so since Chris isn't gonna talk all night, I decided I would do this tonight. So I want to talk a little bit about the Clay Studio, but we also have one of our potters here also to talk about her experience in the studio. The Clay Studio is a great place to work. It really is. It always has been. And we are, I think, having a little bit more difficulty because of our own success. And so what we've basically done, in order to keep the studio running well and having things, move through the studio so people get the work in a timely manner, we've always had volunteers. Ever since the doors opened, we've had volunteers. We just have a whole lot more of them these days. If you look up here, we had 351 monitor shifts, which are 4 hours apiece. Okay, so that's 1,400 hours right there of volunteer time. And then we have people who do things directly for the studio. Some of the time they do it during their monitor shift, but also they come in at other times to do it too. We have people who mix glazes. We have people who load and unload kilns and put things on people's shelves. We have people who empty the wash tubs, which have a lot of clay slots. We have people who clean those slop tubs. We have people who take the scrap clay that's not in the tubs, but scrap clay that people produce when they're making the work, and they pug it, and they produce clay, and that's what this is. And that clay is then resold back to the artist, but at a reduced rate. So if $1 a pound of clay is getting a little expensive for you, you have a little cheaper option. And we probably pug about a ton of clay, if not more, a year, because we buy our clay by the ton, and probably 3 tons a year. And that's how much clay runs to that studio. And so the puggers are really a busy group. And we probably couldn't do it without them, because part of the whole issue you have at the Clay Studio is getting clay out. We could pay somebody to take that ton of clay to the dump and pay them a lot of money, or we could do something like this. Okay, so that's what we do. So we couldn't really do that, a lot of volunteers. I think if you could flip over to the next. And this is just a partial list, because these are mostly the people who sign up for monitor shift, but these monitors also do some of the tasks I was just talking about. And Annie Stewart and Lori Leslie, those are our 2 volunteer coordinators. They send out the emails asking for people to sign up for vacant shifts. And so people come in, and the monitor greets people coming in. They help them with anything that they need help with. They give them a little tour if they need it. And they're just our welcoming committee. And they keep the studio open so other people can come in and use their open studio time. Okay? So that's what this is. And the reason why we chose this was because every potter produces scrap clay when they make their pots. And so we put it in the reclaim buckets, and the pug millers pug it for us. And so there's a piece of every potter's work in this month. And I wanted to have Emily Shipman come up and talk a little bit about her experience in the Clay Studio.
I'm Emily Shipman. I'm going to just read. I hope that's okay with everyone. I'm not great at speaking off the top of my head. It will keep me on task. When I first moved to Chestertown 14 years ago, my knowledge of RiverArts was limited to the charming little gift shop in the Breezeway by Dunkin' Donuts. But as years went on, I discovered the rich array of programs it offers, including Art Walk, Kids Spot, and most importantly to me, the Clay Studio. Many friends of mine were taking classes, and though my schedule never quite aligned, my curiosity and appreciation for what the Clay Studio offered grew. Finally, in September 2023, I took my first class with Chris Neiman, and that experience was truly transformative for me. Not only did the class ignite my creativity, but it also opened the door to new friendships and a deeper sense of community. Those connections have flourished with each class I've taken and every moment that I spend in the studio. What makes the Clay Studio so special is the sense of community it fosters. Whether you're hand building or throwing on the wheel, there's a contagious spirit of support and encouragement. Everyone's goal is to help each other create their best work to inspire and to be inspired. In a time fraught with division, the studio remains a space where politics, backgrounds, and differences cease to matter. What matters is that we're all seeking to express ourselves and to share that journey with others. The Clay Studio is more than just a place of artistic creation. It's a vibrant community, a place where artists, regardless of how they see themselves, find belonging. It is a space that nurtures creativity and connection, and I look forward to seeing it continue to evolve and serve as a cornerstone of Chestertown's art life. So.
People told me I had a price tag. The first person I saw when I came in said, "You're going to be awfully hot in that sweater." I said, "Do you really think I had a choice?"
Which she knitted, and she also knitted mine. Wow. But we just wanted to have an example of some of the lovely items created by artists. In fact, Christine is right here. This is her design. These have been selling off the shelves, so that's a nice find.
And it's not even been ranged.
We're not sure. It's going to keep the rain off us.
I'm Sue Basner. I've been involved in the store pre-pandemic. I'm not even sure how many years I've been volunteering. And now I chair the store committee as well as serve on the board. And Sue is a great companion to work with. Some of the volunteers for the store are sitting in this room right now, because we can't be open unless we have people volunteering at the store. And like other programs, we've been through transitions too. We've had 3 moves in 2 years. And so it was nice to get a breather when we moved to our current space. And of course, we were faced with the challenge of a much smaller space. Somehow or other, we seemed to work it out. We were blessed with donations of these lovely glass shelves with the standards that hold them up from Dave and Patty Hicklin. And so we have some in the windows, and we have one in the middle of our space, and that just, I think, helped give the store a more professional look. So we're very happy about finding new ways to display. We have 30 artists, which is not quite as many as we had before, but those 30 artists have been selling. We have 5 new people that joined the store this year. And you know, the first in January and February, it was so dull and quiet, and I thought, is this going to work? But as you know, the weather got warmer and more people came to town, and guess what? You know, sales have really been picking up, and we're very happy about that. We participated in Crazy Days, and thank you to the people, especially the artists who donated items that we could sell, and all the proceeds came to us. We participated in 2 art walks, trying to get outside on the sidewalk. And so those are new things for us as well. I can change the slide now. One of our major goals, of course, is to give the artists more exposure. And in one of our planning sessions this summer, we dedicated ourselves to having opportunities for artists to be we used to call it Artist of the Month, but it would be a feature artist. And have that artist actually there, promote it, maybe even showing an example of how they work. Christine O'Neill has done this. She's painted outside on the sidewalk and grabbed people as they walk by.
Literally.
They had no choice. They had to go inside. So that is certainly one of our goals, to do that in 2026. And this is a nice new opportunity. Some of you are probably already familiar with this, but
Just a little louder.
oh, a little louder, okay. At the farmers market on Saturday mornings, which is, by the way, our busiest time, which makes sense, artists have the opportunity to rent a table, which will be right out in front of the Clay Studio / store, and set up their pieces to sell. And also, there's no commission taken, correct? Whatever they sell that goes to
But they have to
the
pay $10.
That's right. It costs $10 to do that. And information on that is on the website. You can find it there. So
Free to sign up.
free to sign up.
Yes.
All right. And then you can change the slide now. Upcoming very soon is the holiday show, which was already mentioned. And Sue Wright has chaired that for a number of years quite successfully. And so now,
Like 100.
yeah. The challenge is, how do we fit all these beautiful holiday items in this much smaller space? Fortunately, we are going to be able to have some of the things here in the gallery as well. So artists will have the opportunity to bring a larger piece up here to be hung on the walls, and a few smaller items that will be set out on tables, and hopefully some in the windows as well. And then for the store, we're limiting artists to 10 smaller items, but with the understanding that when they sell, we'll call you and you can bring in more. That's the only way we can do it, and smaller pieces hanging on the wall. So Sue is busy scheduling people for that. Sign up is coming starting November 7th and 8th for the holiday show. But one thing that I want to emphasize in closing is this is the first time really that the store will have a significant presence in the gallery. And the store at RiverArts is part of RiverArts, and there is such a distance now between us. So I think this is really important that we have items from the store here for sale, and hopefully throughout the year, we can have some space with pieces of art here. And just telling people if you like what you see, just walk down the street a couple blocks. So that's what we're looking forward to. And thank you.
I'm Chris Nyman. For those people who don't know me, I'm the executive director of RiverArts, and we are going to, and I say we, Matt Newman, our treasurer at the moment. If you want to come up here and join me, Matt. We're going to talk about the financial challenges that we faced this year, the steps that we took, and the results of the things that we've done. The first challenge that we received this year was kind of heavy. As most of you know, I took over this job on the January 1st, and I was greeted with an empty coffer and a negative balance. And I knew this. I took this job full well knowing the situation we were in, and knowing that I brought a little bit of acumen that maybe could help. And so we've spent the last 9 months, really whittling down on those things that had just gotten away from the org. Just putting eyes on the right pieces, getting data in the right place, making sure that everything was accounted, and it was being accounted, but in a way that was digestible so that we could move forward with the data. And we've done a really good job. We have put pressure in a lot of places in the organization to do better. And if anybody has, in this, actually it's a lot of you in this room, have felt the pressure from me, you're not alone. Please understand that there are hundreds of you, and everyone has a different idea of what things should be. Everyone has a different idea of how to get there. And it's part of our job to find the path of best success through those individual claims and also the entirety of the org at our feet. So as we make choices going forward, we are always looking to remain solvent first. It is very important to me and to the organization and to the board to show the public that we are good stewards of your money. And I do not want to be in a situation where I have to ask you to fill a hole. And in as much, My head is ahead of now. If anyone is concerned, my head's in March right now. So just realize that my goal is health for the organization, is health not just the next quarter, but the next 3 quarters in my mind. Because the moment that we let up, the moment that support drops, the moment that the thing happens in the world, we have to rest on the fact that we can self-serve in whatever capacity that we have. So in that, in as much, we have a really good story to tell you. That's where we started, and I'm going to pass it over to Matt to tell you about how we began moving up.
All right. As everyone else brought a little item, I brought an item. This represents the fact that we didn't have the opportunity to have a nice brandy snifter, typical funding type of situation. That's not what we wanted to. I joined the org a year ago, around this time, obviously, and yeah, things were not good, especially in the financial world. And so we had to do things differently. And you've heard the word adapt. I heard it several times tonight. That's what had to happen. We had to adapt. The organization was living in an unsustainable manner. We, as a board, made very difficult decisions with, not always 100% support of everyone behind the decisions we had to make, but they needed to be made, belts needed to be cinched, etc. All of that said, we, at the start of the year, took on, as I said, an empty coffer. How do we pay our employees? How do we keep things open, keep lights on, etc. And we did a very big fundraising event early on in the year. That to me, this represents. we had to not assume that we could rely on some of the traditional funding sources, from state and government agencies, because as we all know, that's a wee tipsy at the moment. So we recognized early on that we were going to have to reach out to the people in this community. This is a community organization. That's how the organization has been funded this year, is by reaching out to the people in the community here who value what this org does. So, all of you have had the financial sheet in front of you this whole time. What we basically did was initially pass a balanced budget based on what we could project as income sources. And we also made adjustments to what monies were being allocated to which portions of the organization so that everything came out well. The numbers that you see are largely the big picture numbers, the 10,000 foot view. There are details to be had, not in this context. That's
if
really,
you would like to see the details of this,
Yep.
it's on our website, along with a copy of this slideshow. And you are looking at a smashed up version of our profit and loss statement.
Yeah.
And it in full is available to you right now on our website.
Yeah. So you can see the numbers. I am not as fond of being read at any more than anyone else, so I won't do that to you, but you can see what our budget was, what our income was, what our expenses were, and where we're at now, which is in the black, for the first time in some time. I know that, as he said, Chris put pressure on lots of folks to make a lot of these things happen. I'm glad that we received the support that we did from all over this community. Kent Cultural Alliance, MSAC, there have been lots of organizations that have helped us, lots of individuals who have helped us, and we were also discussing the idea that we had to make difficult financial decisions to decide whether or not we were going to move on certain opportunities. The board has been unanimously of the mindset that we won't choose to take on something that will unbalance the ship that we have finally righted. Right? So, insofar as any member of the organization wants to see something in particular now happen as we move forward, that's completely on the table, as long as we can do that in a sustainable manner, as long as we can do that in a way that we can look, as you said, many fiscals forward and go, yes, that will work. So that's mostly what I have to say, is that we have gotten the ship righted. We are no longer at risk of drowning. And we did so in an unconventional manner, but that's a success story by any metric in programs.
Showing you a little bit of detail on this page. So behind a lot of these numbers is what I'm going to kind of give you a little snapshot of. One of the things that I have done, as I have had heavy influence on how our finances work, is we and the board have made the decision to prioritize people giving contributions and designating them somewhere. And a designated contribution is usually a bad word in nonprofits. And the reason that it seems that way is because oftentimes people have a pet project or something and it will get funded over something else. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is that if you want to support a particular part of RiverArts, if you write that on the check, you are obligating me to spend it where you want it. And I could say no, but I would rather say yes, because if somebody is willing to fund something that we do, and it fits in our mission, it fits within our rubric, and it doesn't upset the boat, we're gonna do it. That's the community reaching out to us saying, this is a thing that we can do, and we'll give it a shot. So with all that said, let's go one more slide here. So this is grants, contributions, and membership. Membership's kind of down here. I know this is hard to read. Again, this is available to you online if you want to come back. And these are all not total numbers, but numbers showing you where the money is coming from. And you can see the Giving Tree benefit, the necessary fundraiser that we had at the beginning of the year. You can see where those funds were designated. $50 for exhibitions, $2,500 for the clay studio, $19 for the store, $48,000 for the general fund, $35,000 for kids fund. This is how we were able to do what we did this year. We asked the membership to support us in our time of need. I asked them to give us a hill to ride down rather than a mountain to climb. They answered in spades, and these numbers are not 4 or 5 people. 30, 40 people, all reaching in and putting into something they believe in. We also have regular contributions I didn't ask for. Right? A kid spot, $11,904. $50,000 to the general fund. This is showing us that the community is supporting what we do in a real way, and they are giving us the opportunity to prove it to them that we're going to do the community effort that we plan to do. Next slide. Program income. Again, I have broken down RiverArts into all of its parts so that we can see where programs are succeeding, where they need help, and where we can do better. So these are program figures. For example, exhibitions. This is the members gallery, collaboration shows, Paint the Town studio tour. And studio tour is not done, but we have totaled $27,000 in programming revenues for exhibitions. Clay Studio, $32,000 in revenues. And that is in studio memberships. It's a membership enhancement. Open Studio, where anybody can come in, $10 a day. I mean, like we get there with little pieces, many bytes. The Clay Studio printout is like this thick because we do it $3 at a time. It's insane. The store, $7,100. I'd like to point out right now that the store has sold more than it ever has. So congratulations to you all. Arts education, again, we just got that started this year. $7,200 in revenues. I mean, that's after we pay the teachers. That's after we buy the supplies. Every number you see tonight is net. There are no gross numbers. Kids Spot programming alone, $12,000. This is just showing that all of these programs do generate just well-being and forward motion for us. Now let's go to the next slide and we'll talk about expenses. And as Matt pointed out to you earlier, the board did a very good job at not smoothing, but allocating costs where they actually were incurred, making sure that staff is in places so that we have that balance, so that we can have some cost balance within our programs. And some of them are quite expensive. Business expenses, I know these are big numbers, right? And business expenses, rents, insurances, taxes, employment insurances, actually paying people, services, you name it, electric. This is what it costs to just operate. And then instructor fees that we pay out. We did 30 classes this year. We paid out almost $7,500 in instructor fees. Similar in arts education, $3,100 in instructor fees. The store paid out $3,200 in artist payments this year, directly to our members. The exhibitions, again, artist payments, $7,100 directly to our members. This is how we benefit our membership, while also balancing how we allocate dollars. Again, this is all available to you. It's very boring. One more. And we're back to our little budget sheet. Please note that we did receive just over $29,000 in grant funding from Maryland State Arts Council. We're very happy to have won that award. We're still waiting for the check. Now that's A, not abnormal, and B, we are not in a situation where we need it. We will in 7 weeks. but all of these figures don't include that. They don't include the 4 or 5 other avenues for grant funding that we have our name in the basket for, including ones that we've received before, and it's more of a pro forma. None of that has hit, as well as we are getting ready to do a membership and annual appeal, which also is not on this page. All of those are going to be beneficial to RiverArts within the next 8 weeks. And I really hope that not only can we keep this momentum going, because I don't see this as extra money. Remember I told you my head's in March, right? I've already spent the money. So like this is where I want us to see when we have a snapshot, we have allocated funds where they're supposed to be. We have programs that are funded no matter what they're doing, as long as they're within the bounds and scope of the organization. And anytime anybody falls short, and several of them have, the general fund is there to pick up the slack. That's exactly what it's for. So I'm really proud that we are running in this manner. I am hopeful that we can continue to bring in costs and continue to push programming, push registrations, push people to be more of a cohesive unit, because the more people we bring in, the healthier we get. We're attacking this from both ends, and it's working. So I'm really happy to report that. And then lastly, this isn't on the list, but this is not our bank account. In case anybody's confused what you're looking at, this is not what is in the bank account. This is how much over we are on the year. So we still maintain reserves. We still maintain an investment fund, a rainy day fund, and we hope to, in the coming year, build that fund back up after many years of taking it. So I'm very hopeful for that, and I hope that you all will continue to join me as we go into 2026. There are some opportunities that RiverArts can have if we want them. And that is to the members and to the donors and to our supporters to decide what they want to support, and we will go chase it. Thank you. I don't have any more. Actually, I think do have one more. I don't think so. Perfect. If you have any questions about the financials, I think we have a Q&A box set up. Do we have one? We will have a Q&A box set up. You can also just email me a question. It's going to take me a minute to get back if I'm going to compile them for people. But I'm very happy to answer questions about the finances. In the time of Chris, it's a time of transparency. 100% transparency. I have nothing to hide. We have nothing to hide. And I will assuredly show you anything that you would like to see to show you that we are doing things correctly in a healthy way. So, thank you.
Virgil. Ask Carol, this is for clarification because nonprofits operate in different ways according to their bylaws. And Carol's going to read us the segment of the bylaws that's just about how we elect the board of directors, nominate and elect the board of directors.
Right, since that's one of the things we do in the annual meeting. In Article 6 of the bylaws under membership, it says that members shall have the right to vote on a slate of nominated directors approved by the board of directors at the annual general meeting or at any electronic meeting called by the board for the purpose of voting on a slate of nominations. So what this says basically is that we have a slate that has been approved by the board, and that is what we will be voting on tonight, not individually, but as a slate.
So also nominations were opened something like more than a month ago.
Yes.
We had we're putting forward a slate of 5 nominees tonight. There were 8 people nominated, and 5 is the number of slots that we have on the board. This will make us a complete complement of directors again, because we had some attrition this year. So we're excited about that. I think it falls to me to introduce folks. Now, I can't give you a lot of information about these people, but we want to introduce folks and the nominees. They're all here, and have you see who they are, and just a word about their background or where they come from. So let me. Aren't they on?
Yes.
Yes, Karen. So Karen is presently from a neighbor institution, Chesapeake Bank, and she brings some great expertise to the board. I learned in talking with her not only does she bring financial wisdom and experience that we would expect, but she also was was on the Arts Council.
Queen Anne's
County Arts Council in the past, so she brings some arts nonprofit experience as well. So welcome, thank you so much. Jalen Hicks. Jalen is, besides working at the finishing touch, where you might encounter her with some frequency, she also has an art degree. She is herself a working artist, and she is the associate director, co-director of Water's Edge Museum and Gallery down in Oxford, Maryland, which is where we met. And she brings an experience of working with artists in the area and an opportunity for us to collaborate, perhaps also with a sister arts organization here on the Eastern Shore. Anything else you want me to?
No, I think you got it.
Elise Kalaya? Elise?
Oh my gosh, that's an old picture. Oh man, it's good.
Yeah, don't you hate it when people put, 40-year-old thing on their list?
No, I don't.
So, Elise potentially brings to the board a background in communications and advertising. And we have many places where we're ready to put your skills to work in that regard. You want to say anything else about your background?
One of the things that I'm really interested in is helping the organization, if this all works out. One of the things that we did in our company is to position ourselves for the future. And I would love to help RiverArts do the same. You examine where you are and see where opportunities lie in the future and get everybody into the plan. It would be wonderful.
I believe maybe the universe has brought you to us at exactly the right time. Inez Santori. Inez already has a fan club because she's been around a bit. She is an artist, a former gallery. Where was that gallery? Gallery owner here has been in the past on the staff of RiverArts and has a network of connections with artists, and she has we've been working together on the exhibitions committee for RiverArts. So it made sense to include her as one of the nominees. A little bit more of an inside person who knows our organization more intimately, and there's some strength in that.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say about it?
I started off with RiverArts as a volunteer. When I was actually employed by them, I was handling data. My background is computer science, the level of analysis involved with that. I've been involved in not only this art gallery, but various others, and I look forward to the opportunity of being on the board. And thank you all for coming this evening.
Jasmine's son, you have met. Jasmine. Jasmine, you can already tell, brings an energy. And I'm not supposed to mention demographic groups, but like age, some of us could use some. So we're glad that your experience, your particular life experience, and your energy that you bring, and already having been involved with Kids Spot and on the staff of, I believe it's your full-time job, is it not, at Sultana? And what's your position there?
I am the Assistant Director of Science Program, so all the things in the building.
So, welcome another scientist to the class. So, all right. So, you're at, yes?
Don't you have to ask for nominations from the...
No, we don't. We don't asking for nominations from the floor because the process that RiverArts has used, it has customarily used now for some years, is to take nominations in anticipation of the annual meeting. So it provides the board the opportunity to vet the nominees and to meet them. We met with all of the nominees before putting forth a slate. So it's I think some institutional wisdom in that. So this is the slate being presented for election tonight. I believe we do also have activated an online poll for people, for the hundreds of people who are looking in on this meeting from remotely. What? So it is possible also to vote online. So we'll do this in the following way, you've heard the nominees. I'm simply going to ask you if you are in favor of electing this slate to be the board of directors for 2026, effective at the next meeting in November. Would you signify by raising your hand and saying aye? Aye. If you wish to register opposition to this slate, will you signify by raising your hand and saying nay? Hearing no opposition, and have we had a vote, an electronic vote so quickly?
Yes, no one's voted yet, but it is up.
Oh, it's up?
Yep.
So we can.
How do you get to it?
So
you would have to be in the.
Oh, the virtual.
Yeah, it's for the
So I'm gathering that since everyone here who voted in favor, that the slate is elected if we only have one person online who has not, right?
Yeah.
So if you're online, please vote. Yeah. Okay. So I think as president of the board, I'll declare that the slate is elected, and welcome all of you. And we're working at RiverArts to gear things more and more toward the calendar year. So between now and the end of the year, we will have a membership drive. We will initiate new board members. We will be doing onboarding and orientation and community building with our new directors between now and then.
I'm going to read the minutes from the last board meeting really fast.
For the last annual
the last membership.
It's a year.
The last annual membership meeting was September 18th, 2024. Meeting was called to order at 6:02 p.m. at 315 High Street by Board President Guy Hutchison, who then turned the meeting over to Executive Director Chris Sade. There were 43 members and 3 staff in attendance. Chris welcomed the members and shared slideshow. Mission and vision were reviewed. Contributions of Alice Ritchie were acknowledged, and a moment of silence was observed. Guy resumed leadership of the meeting. The staff and board members were introduced, and the board members who left in the past year were recognized and thanked for their service. They were Zane Carter, Cindy Bowers-Fulton, Patricia Gilkison, Kyle Hackett, John Harrison, and Dora Butler-Wilson. Volunteers in all areas of the organization were recognized and thanked. Slate of nominees for directors was introduced: Doug Estes, Matthew Newman, Brian Sutton, and Donna Van Duzen. Motion was made to accept the slate and was approved by hand and voice vote. Online votes were also submitted. Program reports. Chris Nyman reported for I'm a lot faster than we were tonight.
Next year, we'll just have you do this.
Okay. No, next year we'll send it out ahead. Chris Nyman reported for the Clay Studio. He has 16 dedicated volunteer monitors who work 26 hours, which is very close to what we reported tonight for this past year, too. So that's pretty impressive. Sorry, didn't mean to diverge there. Clay Studio continues to be a very popular program and continues to grow. Chris has been spending much of his time with administrative tasks and looks forward to being able to spend more time at the studio.
There was this thing of a new job that came up.
Chris Kelly Majors reported on the arts education program. She thanked Nancy Carter for bringing back the bus trips. A generous donor agreed to match arts ed donations at the Reimagine Runway Gala. Challenges are lack of enrollment in some of the classes and moving the location of the life drawing class. Chris Sade reported on Kids Spot. We had a certified summer camp this year. We have a partnership with the Judy Center at Garnett and are developing programs with more centers in the county. Attendance at the Saturday program continues to grow. Gallery attendance and store sales are both down. This has been a trend around town. Financial report. Chris A. discussed the summary of the financials were presented. The MSAC grant has been drastically reduced this year due to their cuts from the state. We currently have a $30,000 deficit, and it will just keep getting worse. Cash flow deficits are putting the programs at risk. I love this. One major issue is the lease for the 315 High Street space, the gallery store and kids spot. The new lease will increase our rent from $3,114 to $4,375 per month. We simply can't afford this, so Guy and the staff have been looking at alternatives. The only place we can cut meaningful expenses is rent and personnel. We made personnel cuts last year, so need to look at rent. The alternative space being considered is Tisch Gallery at 343 High Street. Drawings were presented for reconfiguring the space. It is about half the size of our current space, but the rent would be $1,500 per month and utilities are substantially lower. Inez Santori has agreed to subsidize the rent through the end of the year. The proposal is to move the gallery, store, and kids spot to the new location and the administrative offices to the Clay Studio. The board will meet next week to discuss this further. Marcy Sherman commented that it has taken considerable effort to reduce our deficit from $90,000 to $30,000, but with the loss of grants, the rent is just not sustainable. There was additional discussion about diversifying our programs and charging for them. Meeting was adjourned at 7:47.
So the place for this in the program was challenges that we have met and what we and the progress to overcome it. But you can see the progress during the year. Our organization is a work in progress. It relies on many of us, and mostly what we do is by volunteer effort. So we rely on you. And this members meeting is it's not pro forma. It is a chance to connect, report, and to, garner support for the next round. So please, if you have questions, concerns, we're always open to hear from you. And when we hear from you, if something that needs to be changed, we invite you to suggest how you'll help us do that. That's the spirit in which we're trying to work. So thank you everyone for being here. Any parting words? Thank you.
Aspirations? Plans and aspirations?
Oh yeah, we've left off. Well, so mostly in the program reports, you've already heard about plans and aspirations for 2026 in projecting forward. Were you looking at me about mentioning something? Okay, so one of the concerns that was addressed in our dialogue session with artists this year was around the changes in our real estate, our space use. We want the membership to know we are open to other kinds of alternatives about how to create standalone gallery space if that's what members want. There's been a lot of expression about that, right? Because it's challenging to hold art exhibitions in multi-use space. No question about it. You've heard tonight about some of the benefits from that. Some of the interface that is salutary. But if there were a collective of people who wanted to give volunteer time, had great energy and enthusiasm to create a standalone gallery again for RiverArts, the board unanimously has talked about this because some opportunities have presented themselves. The board is unanimous in this position. We're open, but we need to see how it's going to be funded, have a commitment of the funding, and the energy of volunteers to make it work. We can't extend ourselves to take on more real estate. Mr. Treasurer is unless we have that. But if there is, that's the kind of conversation that we're open to having. So We want some people for whom this is a core issue. We want you to know that, and that get your group together and come talk to us. Yeah. But that's what it will require. Anything else?
I appreciate you all coming out tonight. Just to put a fine point on that, we have been listening. We had listening sessions. I believe there are notes. I mean, there's transcripts of what people said, what people asked for. And we actually did all look at them and review them. And not every suggestion was taken, but there were quite a few of them that were pointed. Like, yes, this is an issue, and we're aware of that. Part of our struggle this year was getting the house in order, the financial house in order, and it just didn't give us the ability to try anything. We were always trying to rein it in. We're willing to extend again, but the support must be there. And most importantly, I mean, obviously, if there's no money, if the money doesn't work, nothing works, right? But it's not just that. We have to have a groundswell of people. As you saw on the Clay Studio slide an hour ago, it's a team of people. I mean, there's like 38 people on that list. And that's what it takes to not overload an individual, to not saddle somebody with like, this is your thing, it's a group effort. And that's the kind of community that RiverArts is about. It's the kind of community that RiverArts intends to grow. And it's the kind of community that we want to foster. So if you, the members, come together and you want a thing, be it a standalone gallery, be it a collaboration with another org, be it this cool thing that you saw you saw this thing in Baltimore and you talked to somebody and maybe yes. The answer is yes, as long as we can do it in a sustainable way and it's within our mission. So please feel free to bounce your ideas off of me, the board, anybody in here, because we are an open book. And 2026 is markedly different than 2025. We have the ship pointed in the right direction. We get to choose where to go now. And that is a delightful place to be in, and I hope that you all come along for the ride. Thank you very much for coming out tonight. Please send any questions to us if you have them, and please keep supporting RiverArts and enjoy your evening.